You have a trip planned. I don't want to be like the spoiler alert here. You tell us about it, but you are headed somewhere tomorrow with former President Trump. Give us details.
Yes, sir. We're going down to the border, the real border, where the crisis is seen most acutely. We're going to McAllen, Texas, which is the southeast border. You saw Vice President Harris finally made a trip a few days ago over to El Paso, but she did photo ops and got out of there really quickly. The real crisis is deeper south. And that's where we're going to go tomorrow with former President Trump. We have a group of members from the House who are going to go down there with him. And the whole point is to draw more attention to this. I mean, guys, this is a crisis unlike we've never seen down there. Full-blown crisis created by the open-door policies of the Biden administration, and every American needs to have this highlighted to see that the Democrats are doing zero about it.
Mr. Mike, it's interesting because I don't want to get way off track here, but you say we want to draw attention to. But how do you make Americans, when CNN or the three major networks, they're not going to be there watching you tomorrow. They're not going to be covering Donald Trump, do you think?
This is his first trip, other than, he did a rally yesterday. He's beginning to emerge again. But the border is top of mind for everybody in the Republican Party, everybody who lives in Texas and the border states, and increasingly more and more Americans. But you're right, the mainstream media does not want to pay attention to it. I think having Trump down there will ring the bells. And we've got to, guys, look, this is a humanitarian crisis. It's a crime crisis. Just a couple of stats just to think about. U.S. Customs Border Patrol, right? Border Protection. Mm-hmm. They announced they seized 934 pounds of fentanyl at our southern border just last month alone. Wow. That's a 300% increase from that same month a year ago. The CBP has seized more fentanyl so far in 2021 than in all of 2020. Why is that a problem? Because fentanyl, just 2 milligram dose of fentanyl is lethal for most people. There's 453,000 and some milligrams in a pound. We have enough fentanyl to kill every man, woman, and child in America. The cartels are bringing this stuff over. They're selling it on the street in small doses. You accumulate that. It's dangerous stuff. Then you got 180,000 plus enforcement encounters at the southern border in May alone, with 675% increase over May last year. Third straight month of that. So we have a 21-year high of illegal crossings. Those people are coming into the country. They're not being tested. They're being distributed all around the country. We've got dangerous people. We've got MS-13. We've got human trafficking. It's an absolute crisis, and yet the politicians in Washington, those in charge, the majority party, are doing nothing about it.
In my mind, this is exactly what the Democrats want. It is not an accident. But what I've said all along is, when will Joe Biden close the border? When he's 100% sure Texas will never vote red again.
I think that's pretty clear, and some Democrats have, in their rare moments of candor up here, have said as much, that, we need to make sure all these folks can vote. I mean, I think ultimately it is about power. I think you're exactly right. But it's in the meantime, you've got the safety and security of the American people in jeopardy. Yeah, and, of course, the migrants themselves and those who become victims of the cartels and the human traffickers, the sex traffickers, and all the rest. These poor children. I mean, we see these heartbreaking videos. But you're exactly right about it, Robert. The mainstream media does not want you to see it. They want you to look at other things. Let's talk about infrastructure and not worry about what we're doing to our national sovereignty and ultimately to the safety and security of everybody. The crazy thing about it is this is really, really simple to fix. You can do 5 simple things to fix it. Just finish the wall, right? We appropriated funding that's not even being used for that. Reinstate the Remain in Mexico policy. When President Trump did that, when you had migrants coming, they had to stay in Mexico to get their asylum claims adjudicated, and Biden just erased it with a stroke of the pen. You turn away high-risk individuals at the border. We know there are dangerous people coming. You got to stop them instead of putting out the welcome mat, which is what the Biden administration, the president, vice president, and their accomplices have done. They sent a message to the world that we're encouraging illegal immigration, so of course we're going to get that.
There are going to be some of your constituents that are going to say, Congressman Johnson, why are you wasting your time hanging around with Donald Trump? Why aren't you doing the business of our state and focusing on the needs? And they're going to be critical of you for these kinds of things, which some will say will be just a photo op with Mr. Trump. I want to give you a minute to talk about that.
Yeah, thanks. I don't do photo ops. I'm the vice chairman of the House Republicans. I'm the 4th-ranked member on this side of the aisle. I mean, I work 24 hours a day, and the results show that. But we have to draw attention to this. That's the point. This trip, unusually, part of the purpose is for the photo op. That's exactly right, because you have to make the media focus on it so the American people can see what's going on. And Donald Trump, lightning rod as he is, I think is going to draw that attention. And that's why I chose this trip to go on, because I think there's maybe 20 or so members that are going down there, many of them from the Texas delegation. But those of us from Louisiana, Clay Higgins and I will be there because we're so close to this. We're beginning to see the effects of this in Louisiana. And this is a big thing for our district, my constituents, and all the American people for the reasons I've cited. We have to get control of this. We cannot allow this spigot, so to speak, to stay open for the next 3 years. I mean, this is a massive crisis, and we are going to continue to beat the drums as loudly and as often as we can to get action on this. I do think there's a reckoning coming in 2022, the next election cycle. I think the Republican Party is going to win the majority in the House. I think the Senate may be in play as well. And we'll be able to unwind some of this. But we've got to get from here to there. In the meantime, we're in a very dangerous situation.